What's up, and welcome to another edition of the Morning Lifter podcast, hosted by two smart men who love dumbbells. We cover all things strength and leadership. This is episode 6. Shawn, what is up?
How are you, Bryce?
I'm good, man. Congrats on the Frisco Bowl win for your Kent State Flashes.
Oh, that was an outstanding game. I did the math when I woke up, Saturday morning. So I was up for 22 hours. I didn't get to bed until 2 o'clock. I got up at 4 the previous day, so it was, but it was well worth it. Got to hang out with a couple of my old teammates, so
that's amazing.
Outstanding. It was a lot of fun, and really happy for those kids. They earned it. They deserve it.
True fandom right there.
Yes.
All right, so we're doing something a little bit different today. We are doing a holiday Q&A episode. We've gotten a lot of questions submitted from the dozens of listeners we may or may not have throughout the existence of this podcast. Wanted to catch up and get all of them answered. So we have about a dozen. Not all of them are pertaining to the holidays. It's just something fun and light to do around Christmas time. Figure we'll put a minute on the clock for each of us to answer, and we'll just roll through them.
Sounds good.
Cool. Before we get into that, just 2 quick plugs. One is that if you like what you hear from us, please rate, subscribe, leave a review on Apple iTunes and Spotify. If possible, that helps us out a lot with their algorithms and who gets to see the podcast when it pops up. So that'll help us reach a larger audience and ultimately be better at what we do. And second is that I'd like to apologize for the technical difficulties. Last episode, my computer decided to undergo a Windows update right in the middle of recording. So we tried to make the best with what we had. Hope you guys still got some benefit from it. Once we get those 2 things out of the way, we're ready to dive into question number 1. That comes in from John. And the question is, how important is it for the casual gym goer to incorporate the big 3 into training, the squat, bench, and deadlift? If you go to the gym just to feel good, you want to look a little better, be a little stronger, are they really necessary? 1 minute on the clock starts now.
I think they're always good to have. I don't think you need to be a power lifter to perform powerlifting movements, but it's something that that you could definitely incorporate into your training style. If you've got bench press, you definitely should have. Squat, I think you definitely should have. Deadlift is great for the back and lower back and hamstrings and glutes. So you're gonna get your best results from hitting the biggest movements and the biggest core. Those are your core lifts, right? Those are your multi-joint lifts. So I think it's definitely something that you should incorporate into. Maybe not every single week, maybe every other week. Again, it goes back to what we've discussed previously with looking at your goals.
And time. That was really good. Okay, so I'm going to start the timer for myself. You and I have a little bit different varying opinion on this. I think that the variations of the big 3 are essential. You need to do some form of squat, some form of deadlift, and some form of bench press. I don't think they have to be the powerlifting style. So I've said before, almost nobody needs to barbell back squat, mainly because of the mobility that you need, and there's a special way that you have to dump it if you are working out by yourself, you don't have spotters, and that comes with time and training and technique and all those things. I think the barbell front squat is by far the better movement for the general population in terms of core activation. You get more quad development, your glutes are activated a lot better, and it's a lot safer too. The front squat, if you are failing the rep, you can just dump the bar forward. So it's a lot safer. Same with the bench press. I think dumbbells are a lot safer. If you can't get up, you can just drop them. If you're with a barbell, you're going to drop it on your chest, and then you can't get out without a spotter. Ultimately, I think you need to do the big 3 variations. You need to do the big 3 variations, but I don't think they need to be the actual powerlifting movements.
Come on, man. You're way over time.
You're right. I took 4 extra seconds. I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. This question comes in from Zach. On a previous episode, you both mentioned that you take creatine. Why is this? And 1 minute on the clock, go.
Well, there's a lot of studies out there that talk about the benefits of creatine. I think we've posted at least 1, maybe 2 articles about what creatine can do for you, how it helps get your muscles repaired faster. It provides you more energy. It's going to fill your muscles up with more water. It's going to keep you. It's going to make you recover much quicker. You just got to be prepared for a little bit of weight gain because you're holding extra water, but at the same time you're also going to increase muscle mass. It is thoroughly researched. It is probably arguably the safest supplement out there. So if you're concerned about that, start with creatine. There have been pretty much zero side effects aside from the water. Other than that, there hasn't been anything. But for me, it's been really beneficial.
And time. Okay, yeah, so as Shawn said, since 2000, there have been over 400 published scientific research articles using human test subjects with creatine. It will cause you to hold a little bit of water intramuscularly, not subcutaneously, so you will not be bloated. Your muscles will look bigger. So that's one side effect. Two is that your muscles use a substance called ATP for energy, and I'm not going to get into the specifics. There's an article on Morning Lifter that I wrote that goes into how it works from a biochemical standpoint. But basically, imagine that you're shooting free throws with a basketball, and every time you shoot the free throw, you have to go get the basketball again and get your own rebound before you can shoot again. That's how your muscles work without creatine. With creatine, you are basically able to reload a lot faster, and it would be the equivalent of having like a bin of basketballs sitting next to you from the free throw line, so you can just shoot continuously, and that's your muscles firing continuously. So creatine will get you that one more rep effect at the end of a set. That one rep will cause progressive overload and ultimately make you better. This question comes in from Sydney. Where do you guys draw your motivation or inspiration from? 1 minute on the clock, go.
For myself, I've been, I guess, self-motivated pretty much my entire life, so it's not something that's easy, but it's motivation. Bryce, you and I have discussed this. Motivation is temporary, determination is more permanent.
Yep, absolutely.
And so motivation can get you started, but you have to be determined if you're going to actually continue on with something to make it an ingrained habit. So I believe that you've got to be motivated to start, but you have to be determined to keep going. Without determination, it's not going to work. You're going to start something, and I'm working on an article I'm going to post here right before New Year's, talking about, it's going to be titled, You Don't Need a New Year to Be a New You. And you don't have to wait. These New Year's resolutions are bogus because they're not real. They're not ingrained. So you need actual determination and decide. You've got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. And once you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you can motivate yourself to do anything.
Yeah, I love that. For me, same thing. Determination, drive, discipline are the big three, the 3Ds. For me, I think motivation's a hoax, kind of like you, Shawn. We've talked about it. But inspiration's a big one, and I draw a lot of inspiration from my parents. So my mom, I'm going to butcher this a little bit. I don't know the specifics right now off the top of my head. My mom started her professional career managing a Wendy's fast food restaurant, and now I think her official title is vice president of her company. Regardless, she's a high-ranking executive in her current company, so she's busted her ass over the years. And also too, from a workout standpoint, recently, I'm 24, so you can do the math on how old she is. Not going to display it or tell it. 10 months ago, she came to me and said, "I want to start working out. Help me get into the gym. I want to be healthier." And for me, that was a huge inspiration to know that I'm making a difference in my parents' lives, and I'm able to help them, and ultimately it helps me dig deep and be better, because I know when things get hard for me, they've raised me to be strong enough to push through. So I draw a big inspiration from my parents. What are your go-to sources of protein? Go.
Mine are as whole as possible: beef, steak, chicken, shrimp. Every morning I have whey protein, so that's usually where I get my starters in the morning. So I use Dymatize 100% whey. But other than that, it's just trying to use as much whole food as possible between the meats, and I'll eat a lot of yogurt. I've cut back recently on cottage cheese. I'm a big cottage cheese person, so that's where I'm trying to get the majority of my protein.
Are you done? You still have 20 seconds.
No, that's it. That's hey, short and simple, man. That's it. It's meat, it's whey protein, and it's some dairy. That's where mine comes from.
Yeah, same here. So we mentioned on the nutrition episode that we're big animal protein guys. Me, boneless, skinless chicken breast. I will go to Giant or wherever I'm shopping, get the family pack. It's 4 to 6 pounds. I'll eat about one of those a week. 93% lean ground turkey is another staple. That comes in 3-pound containers. I'll eat about one of those a week if it's a ground turkey week for me. red meat, beef, I'll throw in maybe like once or twice a week. And then also in the mornings, I do whey protein. I do like an overnight oats concoction of whey protein oatmeal with PB2 powder, a little cinnamon. So
those are nice.
Oh yeah, it's super easy too. It's a great way to hit the numbers. It's very easily digestible and gets me where I need to be. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much simple for me too. Every now and then I'll do some fish. I don't really like the taste, but every now and then like some salmon or like a piece of whitefish, but not too regularly.
Salmon would be great because it's got all the 9 essential amino acids.
Yeah. If I do fish,
it's the omega 3s, omega 3s especially.
Yeah, if I do fish, it'll be salmon. So, okay, here we go. Next question. I'm sorry. Also, by the way, some of these questions are a little bit older. I don't have the names of the people that submitted them. The more recent ones, I was able to pull the names. So, if I don't say your name, I apologize. Okay. I struggle with getting in protein at breakfast. Any recommendations or suggestions? Go.
Whey protein. That's where I start. For me, every morning, it's about 400 grams of plain, non-fat Greek yogurt. And then I'll take a scoop of whey protein right there. It's about 80 to 90 grams of protein. And so I work out in the morning, so that's what I need. So that's a great supplement. If you're struggling to get that, you're going to have to find other ways too. If you don't want it due to the protein powder, then you got to find other ways to get protein in your system, protein bars, whatever the case may be. You got to find ways to snack on meat then, or jerky or something to get yourself some lean meat somewhere during the day. You got to make it a priority. I mean, that's what it comes down to. That's it for me.
All right, yeah. So for me, I just said I also do whey in the morning. There's good luck finding somebody who's housing chicken and rice at 6:30 a.m. Although I have done that when I work out in the morning.
Unless you're a bodybuilder.
Yeah, that too. Typically, I work out in the afternoon, so in the mornings for me, I'm not too worried about protein. For me, it's more carbs and fats. Fats are long-term energy based on their absorption rate. So, like I said, though, I do whey protein in the morning with oats. Usually get between 25 and 50, depending on how much protein you use. Egg whites are really good. Whole eggs are good, too, if you're not really worried about the fats. Greek yogurt, cottage cheese are good options. There are a couple good options out there, so 6 seconds to spare. Here we go. Time to stroke your ego, Shawn. What are your biggest lifts in the gym? Go.
Is this question referring to numbers or favorites?
You could go numbers. You get like biggest numbers. I don't know. You can interpret it a couple different ways, but why don't we just go like squat, bench, dead? I don't know.
Well, now it's not much. I don't even know. My biggest squat right now is, I think, 335. I mean, I don't have a very good squat anymore. It's just not where it used to be. And that's where I'm struggling on trying to get it back up. My deadlift's about I think it's 415. And my bench is about 315, I guess, right now. So they're not real great. Not what it used to be when I was playing football in college, but I don't care about numbers as much as I used to. Numbers to me, I'm not a competitor,
right?
So for me, it's more about if I can, for me from week to week, it's can I go 5 pounds more than I did the week before, and if I could do that, then I'm on the right track. So I'd love to hit 400 again on the squat. So that's kind of my goal right now, and I'd love to hit 500 on the dead.
Yeah, those are good goals, man. For me, I'm taking this from like a powerlifting perspective since I'm gonna try and compete here in the next couple months, probably looking at like the February to March timeframe. Biggest squat that I have in the gym on video is 465. I could probably push that a little bit higher now. I'm probably more in like the 485 range, chasing 500. Biggest bench that I have gone touch and go with a 300. I have recently, a couple weeks ago, I failed 300 with like a competition pause at the bottom. And then deadlift, I've pulled conventional 500 on the dot and sumo 505. I'm not sure what I could pull right now, though. My deadlifts hasn't really gone anywhere. I've been focusing on squat and bench more. So yeah, that was that. Here we go. If you have the opportunity to meet any fitness influencer, For influencers in quotes, for lunch and a workout, who would it be? Go.
Boy, that's good. Arnold Schwarzenegger would definitely be one of the greatest. But I would say of today's era, I would probably have to go with The Rock, or maybe Stan Efferding. I think those are two of some of the strongest, baddest dudes on the planet right now. But I think for wisdom, Arnold all the way. But for working out, I think it would be, but either one of those would probably crush me anyways. But that's besides the point. But I think it would be fun. Oh, Brian Shaw, even too, one of the world's strongest men. I think that would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so first and foremost, I hate the term influencer. I think influencers are full of shit. I think they just try to sell you stuff. There are some really good strength and conditioning coaches out there, or more so like the personalities and athletes. So like The Rock, I would not call him an influencer. He's an actor, but like a fitness personality. He would be good. So along the world's strongest man lines, Eddie Hall, who actually used to be a swimmer. With my background in swimming, I would love to see how he made that transformation to deadlifting 1,100 pounds from being a former swimmer. Another person who I love to follow that most people probably don't know is Jacob Hutton. So I'm sure you've probably heard of Steve Cook, who is a Gymshark physique model. His trainer and a guy who works with him, Jacob Hutton, is about 6'2", like 240, ripped to shreds. And I believe he's competed at the CrossFit Games. He also has deadlifted 700 pounds. He can bench 405 for reps. Just an all-around crazy strong, super flexible, athletic dude. Would love to pick his brain. Okay, here we go. How do you find new ways to keep going in the gym? There are only so many different movements, and after a while, it feels monotonous. Go.
That's why I change my program every month. And like what you had said earlier, Bryce, about varying your movements. So I don't do bench press every single week. I'll do standard bench press for a month, and then I won't come back to it for 3 or 4 months. I'll do something else. I'll do a dumbbell bench, or I'll do a block bench. I'll do a floor bench. I will do a buffalo bar bench. I'll do something with a different variation. And with that variation, you don't feel burned out because you're doing something different every single time. And so that way it helps you in the long run, so you can say, hey, I haven't done bench press in 6 months. Let's go back to it and see where I'm at. And it makes it fun that way. You just got to you got to be creative, and you got to be inventive.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I mean, kind of the same thing. So for me personally, I mean, I obviously have to do so much with a barbell. Looking to compete in powerlifting, they don't do specialty bar meets and stuff like that. I try to incorporate dumbbells a lot too. Aside from the main big three, like the working sets, all my accessory work, I change it up like almost every day. I will walk into the gym knowing I have to do like a 5x5 back squat. But then after that, if I want to like hit quads, I'll hit quads. If I want to do some hamstring accessory work with RDLs, I'll do that. I don't really limit myself in terms of what there is for me to do. Plus that way too, like I work out at a commercial gym. Like if the equipment's taken, I can always just change it up on the fly, right? So I know I have to do X, Y, and Z in terms of like hit my squat, bench, and deadlift numbers for the week. But after that, I can pretty much change it up and go by based on feel, which I really come to find has been very successful for me at making incredible gains with it. So that's kind of the way I looked at it. You just gotta find something that works for you at the end of the day. All right, this question comes in from Carl. What's up, Carl? HIIT versus LISS for cardio. So HIIT would be high intensity interval training. LISS would be low intensity steady state. 1 minute, go.
Well, I don't do HIIT very often, but if I do, it's usually going to be at the end of a workout. If you're looking for more cardio and you want to incorporate weight training, then I think HIIT is the way to go. Heavy lifts can definitely provide you with a lot of cardiorespiratory activation, so it goes back to what do you prefer. I'm not a big HIIT guy. I'm more of a standard, low intensity, it's actually more high intensity weights but it's not as much volume, So you're lifting heavier weight for less volume, where, high intensity it's lesser weight, more volume, and you're giving yourself very, very, very limited rest time. So, you're trying to oxidize as much fat as possible, and that's where those guys get shredded.
Yeah, I like what you said about the heavy weights, high intensity, because there's a research article that I'd have to find, and I heard it from an exercise physiologist that, if you squat 600 pounds for a set of 10, you are using more oxygen in a greater cardiovascular expenditure than if you run for 10 minutes, I think it was, or something crazy like that. Even though you're only working for about a minute, at a crack of squatting, the cardiovascular output is crazy high. I think HIIT and LIST can both be incorporated into a good program. Like you said, HIIT's at the end of a workout. Most of the times you can do cardio, LIST kind of on its own. For me personally, I'll hop on a treadmill and run for 20 minutes, a half hour, twice a week, just because I like to and it makes me feel good. Get breathing a little bit heavy is something different to change it up. HIIT, pretty much anything can be considered HIIT. I mean, your basic standard circuit could be HIIT. Like a tri-set or a giant set could be technically HIIT or interval training. I think both have.
And I just posted. Sorry to cut you off there. I just posted an article last week about. It's got some HIIT variations in it. So if you're interested in it, take a look. I think there's 8 different exercise core programs that you can look at.
I read that; it was good. Yeah. Last is just that I think both have their time and place, and you really shouldn't be doing HIIT unless you have that cardiovascular base and are already doing a good strength program. You're not going to build muscle doing HIIT typically. You just have to it has to work for you, and it has to fit your program and stuff like that and fit your needs. All right, what are your binge trigger foods? Go.
Boy, that's tough for me. Usually for me, it's not so much sweets as it is, I guess pastries are my killer. That's where I struggle. I can hit up a pastries and I can go to town. Or pizza. Pizza I'm a falter for. Anything that's high carb, high fat, all that other stuff that just will blow you up. That's where I struggle all the way.
Yeah. You done?
Yeah.
Call it? Okay. Yeah, for me, kind of same thing. Love pizza. Could house an entire pizza right now. It's 8:40 in the morning. Donuts, any, sweets. I have a huge sweet tooth. It's bad. I grew up right next to Hershey, Pennsylvania, the sweetest place on earth. So that sweet tooth has resonated with me a long time. I don't eat 1 or 2 Oreos. I eat 1 or 2 sleeves of Oreos. So yeah, but I'm usually pretty good about it, I think. I can walk into a grocery store and not buy any crap or trigger foods. But if I buy it or it's around the house or when I visit my parents if they have it, it's just, I'm off the deep end. It's bad. So definitely sweets, pizza, high carb, high fat, chocolate, peanut butter, all the above. I don't have one trigger food. I have all the trigger foods. All right. Do you guys do any coaching or nutrition planning? I'm interested in working with someone, but I'm skeptic of half the people I see on Instagram.
Well, I mean, I've been a high school strength coach for 10, 11 years. So, I mean, I've got quite a bit of experience working with people. Never really done any nutritional coaching, but I don't have any certifications per se. I have certification and experience, I guess.
Which is probably a better substitute.
Yeah, I guess so. But for what it's worth, I'm studying right now to get my certified strength and conditioning certification. So, through the National Strength Conditioning Association. So take that for what it's worth. So, but I've been around it for a very, very, very long time. So, if you're interested, I guess just let us know.
Yeah, so you have a little bit more of the strength and conditioning coaching side than I do. Most of my experience comes from exercise science electives in school. Obviously, I've worked with strength and conditioning coaches, being an athlete my entire life. On the nutrition side, again, most of my experience comes from the classroom. I've taken a couple nutrition classes. I kind of know the ins and outs of the human body pretty well. I currently do macro planning for exactly one person who reached out to me from grad school. We went to grad school together. She knows that I have no official certifications, backgrounds, licenses, any of the above. Just kind of have some experience and know enough to be of use to her. But no, I do not also officially do any coaching or nutrition planning. Kind of just offering advice when it's asked, basically. Okay. What are your tips to target belly or midsection fat?
Diet. I think that's the number one thing. I mean, everybody says do abs, do abs, do abs. No, that strengthens muscles. That's not necessarily going to mean you're going to lose fat. So it's one of the hardest things to do. Getting abdominal muscles is the hardest thing to do, which I saw a great quote that said, someone asked me that, I wanted to get abs, and so I showed them the kitchen. It's not the gym where you're going to get the abs, it's the kitchen. So that's going to be the number one thing. Making sure too you're training the right amount of time, that's going to help too. That's going to be a big catalyst. One thing that could really help you too is fasted cardio. I know that worked for me really, really well in the past. And fasted weight training actually has a lot of the same benefits. I'm actually working on an article right now that talks about weight training in a fasted state. It oxidizes more fat than what has previously been thought of. So it's something that I'll be posting out eventually at some point in time. But I've been training fasted for 10 years now, and it's benefited me. So. The whole spectrum or stigma or general consensus on fasted training kind of swings, the pendulum swings back and forth based on research. So it's interesting to see, it seems like every 5 to 10 years something new is coming out saying that the opposite is better now. So curious to read what you have to say about that. For me, the best core exercise I've ever done is 5 sets of don't eat that. If you train core, you're going to undergo muscle hypertrophy. Your core's going to get bigger. So, the more ab work you do, the bigger your stomach's going to get because you're adding muscle. So you need to lose body fat, which, as you said, is done in the kitchen. Unfortunately for humans, you cannot spot reduce muscle fat. Not muscle fat, body fat. You cannot spot reduce body fat. So you lose fat as a whole, you lower your body fat percentage. It's going to come off your midsection eventually. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be the last place that you lose body fat from. You're going to notice it around your shoulders and your face and your arms before you notice it in your stomach. Stay the course. Basically, follow some of the principles you said, but it's diet. You really want to see how much weight you can lose and how much body fat you can lose. Try giving up alcohol. I don't think people understand the effect that alcohol has on metabolism and how much body fat you can hold. So yeah, that's big.
People, drink a lot of empty calories, and I don't think they realize it. So especially around the holidays and the parties and stuff like that, I think be conscious of how much alcohol you consume and kind of see where that takes you. Okay, we have 2 more questions. What is the biggest challenge you two face as content creators? And I put content creators in quotation marks because I'm not really sure what you'd call us besides just 2 dudes having fun. So go.
Well, for me, since I write primarily most of the articles, I think it's finding stuff that's relevant, and so for me, on the strength side of things, it's trying to find relevant articles or topics that are relevant to what people can relate to. But I also I'm interested in researching just different areas of strength and conditioning. So motivation side, I get a lot of that from myself, but I also get a lot of inspiration through some of the speakers and leaders that I listen to. Jim Rohn, John Maxwell, Les Brown, Simon Sinek, Jordan Peterson, and from my experiences as a teacher, just seeing the different struggles that people go through, and trying to provide some type of value to people really is what it's all about, providing value.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, for me, the challenge, I'm kind of just doing this for kicks and giggles, and it's something fun and reconnecting me with an old friend here in Shawn. But biggest challenge would be probably just making sure that we're doing stuff that people like and people can get value from. I write articles here and there for the website, but most of them in the podcast and editing the podcast, and probably finding time and challenges, like time for us to sit down and actually just talk and record like this, with Shawn's family and his other obligations. And I have a pretty involved career and, my family time and stuff like that. So finding time to sit down and record can be a challenge at times. We try to get an episode out every 2 weeks. And then on the flip side would be like the actual editing process. I appreciate you guys hanging with us. I'm a self-taught podcast producer here, still kind of learning as we go. I've only done this a handful of times, so hopefully it's getting better. So those are two big challenges, but overall I think probably just, trying to make sure that we're putting out stuff that people are gonna that will resonate with people, and that, they can seek guidance from. Okay, last question here. This one comes in from Jess. Where do you two see the future of Morning Lifter going? More of a question for you than it is for me.
As far as the public will take it, honestly, I'm honestly taking it one day at a time. It kind of grew into an apparel line this past summer. Another big goal of mine that I've been talking to other friends, Bryce, I've talked to you about it too, is eventually going out and speaking, more of a motivational side of things, talking about leadership and things like that, because I'm pretty passionate about that as well. But I'm going to take it as far as it'll let me. But right now, I'm having a lot of fun doing what I'm doing, and if I can continue to impact people, then I'm going to continue to do this. So I think when the value goes away, which I hope it doesn't, then it's time to hang it up. But right now, I think as long as I can provide value to people and they can get something out of it, then it's a good thing to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know personally on my end, I'm going to try and stick with it as long as you'll let me. It's been good, like I said, just kind of having fun with it, kind of helping out, as long as it continues to work with my life agenda too. It's been fun. It's been really cool. It's something interesting to occupy my time in a way to continue to learn and grow in the strength, like mainly the strength and conditioning world for me. I know you're more involved with the leadership side of things than I am, but now that I'm officially out of school and I can still read scientific literature and provide value to people, hopefully, and for personal gain too. So it's been something fun to do for me on the side, and has been a good use of my extra time that I have. So as long as it continues to be fun and Shawn continues to let me help him out, I'm in. So
sounds good to me.
Yeah, and those were actually all the questions we had. So I think it was 14 in total, 13 or 14. So we burned through those. That was really good. I don't know about you, but I liked that.
Yeah, I think that was pretty cool.
And the best part is it didn't require a big run sheet.
No, I think it's been. I think that's cool. So the more questions we get from others, the more opportunities we can have to do this. And sometimes it's just kind of volley back and forth there, and maybe provide a little bit more, on a personal side of things for people. So it's part of it is to just bounce around ideas too, and I think that's a big thing. Sometimes people don't have anyone else to talk to, and they might struggle in that area, and that's where we might be able to provide some type of an assistance.
Oh yeah, I mean, even speaking for you and I, like, my parents don't care about what new research I just read for hypertrophy or strength training. Like, none of my friends really do either. They don't take exercise or lifting as seriously as I do. So being able to shoot you stuff and like being able to send that out and talk to other people in like the community, I think is a big aspect too.
Absolutely.
So we call that, like, in my job, my career field, they call it high velocity learning, whereas you can bounce ideas off of each other and you're going to get information so much quicker and at a much higher velocity than you would like sitting in a classroom, like just learning it from a lecture.
Right.
So I think the stuff like this is like the process of high velocity learning can be super, super beneficial, especially in the technology era that we live in, where everybody's connected. And I think that was part of the driving force behind the Facebook group too. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but like that's meant to be a community atmosphere and outlook that like you can post stuff in there and get feedback and talk to other people, you know, and help you out. I think
absolutely.
Eventually, you know, we want to continue to add people and continue to grow that and get to somewhere where it can be of real value to the individuals that are in the group.
Right. And so if for any of you that are listening, if you're on Facebook, go check us out, the Morning Lifter community group. Add yourself in, and we can have more discussions. So something we're still trying to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's all we have for today's episode. This is going to go up 2 days before Christmas. So I hope y'all have a safe and happy holiday. Happy New Year. We will catch y'all in 2020. Will probably be our next episode.
Yep.
So, like I said, we're going to try to get episodes out like once every 2 weeks or so, as quickly as time will allow. So, anything else, pal?
No, man, I think that's it. Have a great Christmas.
Cool, likewise. So, everybody out there, keep it strong, keep it safe, be your best you. Just be better.
See ya.